What you are speaks so loud that we can't hear a word you're saying. Emerson. Well, this is the third in a series of videos where my intention is to bridge the work of Wilhelm Reich and Carl Jung, or bridge the gap between mind and body, or what I call sex and psyche. And in order to do that, I'm sharing the most relevant work provided by both of these masters in psychology. Wilhelm Reich associated with the soma, or the body, and Carl Jung associated with the psyche, or the mind. And it's interesting that both of these psychoanalysts had evaluations that were associated with different types of characters or ego complexes. So when it comes to the work of Wilhelm Reich, he would speak in terms of character structures, or the recognition that there were certain body character types, body builds, the way you look, that were associated with psychological predispositions. On the other side of the seesaw, or the spectrum, is the work of Carl Jung, and he spoke about the quadrated psyche, 4 parts of the psyche. And in our work, we're thinking in particular as it relates to the masculine psyche. So we lean on the work of Neo-Reichian psychoanalyst and Professor Robert Moore, who spoke of the king, warrior, magician, and lover qualities. So going back to Wilhelm Reich and how he chose to categorize the various character structures that were associated with body types and psychological predispositions, he had 5. He called them schizoid, oral, masochist, psychopath, and rigid. In the work that I'm creating and sharing with the world, I've actually paired 2 of them, and I see them as 4. You have schizoid, oral, masochist, psychopath work together in my model, and then rigid, or phallic narcissist. Now, these terms I would like you to remain detached from. They were created by a MD, a psychoanalyst in the 1950s. They sound offensive. I would like you to kind of ignore them for a moment, and I have brand new terms to describe each one of them, because as we relate to one or more of those character structures, we don't necessarily want to be labeled as a psychopath, now do we? Even though we might relate to that. So on the other end of the spectrum, we have Carl Jung and his work as it relates to the psyche, the quadrated psyche. And in Carl Jung's way of describing it, we had the being, doing, thinking, and feeling qualities. But with regard to the Neo-Jungian perspective of Robert Moore, we have, like I said earlier, king, warrior, magician, and lover. Now, it is my intention to take the work of both Wilhelm Reich and Carl Jung and bring them together to show how there is a character construct that's associated with each one of these predispositions, meaning taking the character structure associated with Wilhelm Reich and the ego complexes, or the ego constructs, and bringing them together. And that's why I call them character constructs. So I'm first going to show you how they're paired, and then I'm going to talk a little bit more about each one of those 4 character constructs in terms of body and energetics, and in terms of the psyche, both the light and the dark aspects psychologically of those. And my intention with this video is for you to listen objectively, but also see where you might fit in to this spectrum of different character complexes or constructs. So in discussing these 4 types and bringing together both the character structure and the ego constructs, we are going to be discussing in this video the warrior character construct, the wizard character construct, the lover character construct, and the king character construct. Also, for each one of the types, I'm going to pick a person in pop culture that you may all be able to relate to or recognize that I feel fits into each one of these 4 categories. Beginning with the warrior character construct, this type of individual has a very well-built body, usually has pretty good posture. The holding pattern that is pathological in this individual that causes the rigid or phallic narcissist type personality is a holding back quality, particularly as it relates to the segments of heart and genitals. This is a person who generally uses their body and their image as a way to relate to the world as opposed to feelings. So they're typically holding back loving feelings and sensual feelings in the body. So the way to get to energetic fullness for an individual that relates to this warrior character construct would be a letting go or surrendering, a allowing yourself to fall in love, allowing yourself to have the release, the energetic physiological release associated with a full orgasm. A lot of times phallic narcissists find that they use their sexual member more as a tool as opposed to using your penis as a way to share and receive love in the sexual act. The genital segments are also associated with impulse. So this type of individual may feel that their impulses are stifled, meaning they feel an energetic move towards doing something, but they're always holding themselves back. I want to go do this thing, but it's not right for me to do this, or I shouldn't. There's a lot of shoulds or shouldn'ts associated with the warrior character complex. Also, as it relates to the feeling segment of the heart, this is an individual who can fall in love mentally with an image of someone. She's a beautiful woman, so I guess I should fall in love with her. She's got a great job. Guess I should fall in love with her. All of my friends like her. I guess I should fall in love with her. It's more of a should thing rather than the spontaneous vibration feeling within the chest and the heart. If you have a hard time knowing through the sensation that you are loving or receiving love, it's a good chance that you are of the warrior character construct and you've got armoring across your heart. Now, as it relates to the Jungian side of things, the psyche side of things with regard to our warrior character construct, this is the type of individual whose greatest quality is their ability to achieve. They're definitely high achievers. They're motivated people. They're willing to go out there and get things done just like a warrior would. They're disciplined, they're devoted, and they're decisive about what it is that they want in their life, and they're willing to go after it, and that's why they're the warrior type. As far as the darker attributes of the psyche is concerned, this is an individual who's very much caught up in rights and wrongs, shoulds and shouldn'ts. As is with all of the dark attributes in all of these different character constructs, there can be a teetering of imbalance from one extreme to the other. This type of individual in the dark aspects of things can find that they either become a bully, push people around because they're stronger or they're more willful, or they're a coward, meaning that they're denying the power that they inherently have and will hold back once again where there would be an aggressive movement forward. The pop culture character that I associate with being a warrior character construct would be Tom Cruise. Very much a high achiever, very good looking guy, great posture, definitely caught up in the shouldn'ts of things as it relates to his choice, some of his choices in life, but he's definitely a high achiever, and I would lump him into the category of being a neo-Jungian, a neo-Reichian phallic narcissist, or a neo-Jungian warrior in his fullness or darkness, just depending on our circumstances. If you relate to this warrior character construct, please let me know. Just comment down below. It'll be interesting to see how many people relate to each one of these. Of course, this is a fitness channel, so I have a good feeling that there are some that you guys are going to relate to more than others. The next character construct that I'd like to share with you is what I refer to as the wizard character construct. As it relates to Wilhelm Reich's work, this person would be described as the schizoid. Energetically, where this person may find that their bodies take shape is they often have a thinner body, smaller build, smaller bones, but oftentimes a bigger head or a more prominent head and eye area. This person also has a tendency to hold together, meaning that their defense against falling apart is associated with their stiffness and general lack of motility in the body. But that is compensated by a hypercharged head segment. So these people are oftentimes very intuitive, very intellectual, and very creative. Like I said, as it relates to the light qualities in the Jungian when you look at it from a neo-Jungian perspective, you've got a wizard construct that's associated with someone who's very intellectual or very intuitive or very creative. A lot of our great inventors, a lot of our scientists, a lot of our great artists and musicians are definitely more of this wizard type character construct. On the dark side of things, a lot of times they become very detached and manipulative. So you could think in terms of like dark scientists, these guys they're wizards in the science lab creating technology that destroys humanity or destroys the planet. And even though that they're brilliant and they're creating these magnificent things, they're sort of detached from the fact that, that bomb can blow up the whole planet. So there's a sort of detached wizardry associated with it. If you watch movies, this is like your dark wizard, the guy who's really magical. He can do some fantastic shit, but he tends to lean towards using it for evil rather than good. As I mentioned before, as it relates to the Jungian polarities, there are those who show this in an excessive way, and there are those who show it in a deficient way, meaning they're denying it in themselves. And it's usually people that deny these things in themselves that have it roaring and ready to go, but they're pretending it's not there. And with that, you have the trickster know-it-all, and this is like your typical keyboard warrior, this guy who, he spends a lot of time reading, so he thinks he knows everything, but he's not grounded. He's not embodying the things that he thinks he knows. So he's a trickster know-it-all. On the other end of the spectrum with regard to that is the dummy, the person who plays dumb, plays innocent. The pop culture character that I would associate with the wizard character construct would be Bill Gates. Very intelligent dude, brought us tremendous amounts of technology, but at the same time, he tends to be a bit detached sometimes and a little bit too wizardry for himself, where reality is often stifled. If you find that you relate to the wizard character construct, both in the light and the dark attributes, or as it relates to the actual physical character construct, you guys who are watching this, a lot of you are into lifting, so if you're a hard gainer, someone who's just like smaller, has a leaner build, but like oftentimes these guys could tell you everything about lifting. They may make great coaches because they've created all the spreadsheets and stuff, but they just can't seem to do it themselves. If you resonate deeply with the wizard character construct, please let us know, comment down below. The third character construct that we're going to be speaking about is the lover character construct. As far as the body is concerned, this is an individual who oftentimes has smaller, weaker legs, but as you reach the upper body, there's kind of a rounding of the upper back and a jutting forward of the head with a reaching out of the arms. This is, as it relates to the holding pattern, the holding on or the clingy type person. Like I said, oftentimes this person has weaker legs, but sometimes a bit more of a charged upper segment. So again, bigger eyes. Oftentimes this person talks a lot. So energetically, they're looking to relate with you through the mouth, verbally. According to Wilhelm Reich, he was described as the oral type. I forgot to mention that before. This is the oral type, and as an oral type, you would imagine that this is the type of person who is also very talkative or tends to put things in their mouth, chew their fingers, chew on stuff. Energetically or physically also, this person oftentimes tends to have a sunken solar plexus. So this mid area here that's associated with will, going out there and getting things done, seems to be sunk. So there may be like a hole or a caving in of the third chakra. When it comes to the Jungian archetype of the lover and the light and dark attributes associated with it, the light attribute of the lover character construct is that they are really friendly. They're usually people who, wherever they go, they make a lot of friends. They're usually lovers, meaning like girls like them a lot, or they're someone who gets along with everyone. They're always looking to make peace rather than fight. These are not fighters like the warriors or the kings, like I'll talk about next. These are people who would rather see things through in a peaceful way. On the dark side of things, they tend to lack will. They tend to lack aggression. There's also a sense of neediness and entitlement associated with the lover character construct. The pop culture character that I would associate with this character construct would be Justin Bieber. He is definitely a lover, meaning like his love songs and women love him, and he's very personable. But if you've ever checked out his posture, he definitely has the oral reaching type posture and that sunken middle area. As far as lifters are concerned, this is another type that has a tendency to have difficulty building muscle if you lean towards being like a hard gainer. These guys have a tendency to actually be more skinny fat, where the wizard types can be just skinny. They're just lean and they can't build anything. The lover types tend to not be able to build muscle, but also always seem to be a bit soft. If you relate to the lover character construct, please let us know down below. And finally, the last of the 4 character constructs that I'd like to share with you is the king character construct. And when it relates to Wilhelm Reich's description of the masochist and the psychopath, what I've liked to see happen is, and what I've done here is brought them together. The build that's associated with this character construct type oftentimes is a pulling up of the energy, meaning very big and broad shoulders. A lot of bodybuilders are of this king character type, especially the ones that have smaller waists, smaller legs, and then have a build up this way. That's one way as it relates to more of the psychopath end of things as it relates to the king character construct. But then there's also the round type individual, more of the endomorph, the type of individual who is chubbier and has more of a thickness across their solar plexus and belly, where one type the energy moves up, the other one the energy gets stuck in the middle. And part of the reason why I've linked these two together is because they both carry a tremendous amount of power or energy in their body. The difference between the psychopath and the masochist is that the psychopath can draw the energy up and direct it outward, and you see how I did that because I got a lot of it in me. They're usually very good leaders, they're very good speakers, they can direct that energy out, where the masochist has the same type of energy in the body, a tremendous amount of energy, but the energy gets stuck usually at the throat. And see, I can relate to that also too. As a masochist, I oftentimes have a very stuck throat. So you've heard me in my old videos, particularly when I was really huge, I had that high voices because I was stuck in my throat or stuck in the solar plexus. And in fact, the throat and the solar plexus are sort of like linked segments, meaning if you're stuck in the solar plexus, there's a good chance that you're stuck in your throat. As it relates to the neo-Jungian light and dark attributes in regard to the psyche of this type of individual, on the light end of things, they're usually very good leaders, usually very charismatic, also very diplomatic. On the dark side of things, they could also be very overly controlling or get stuck in moods, bad moods. And so you can think of people like Donald Trump as a psychopath in that way, that he really knows how to direct his energy. And this is not pro or con Donald Trump, you know, all you Americans or people who are into politics. It's the fact that the man does move crowds. He does direct his energy out and has a way of empowering people in that way. One of the things that's associated with the light qualities in a king type is that they always fight for the underdog, and whether or not that's genuine or not, that's their stance, that's their position, is that I'm fighting for the underdog. As it relates to a stuck king, I'm thinking more in terms of an actor like Seth Rogen. This is a guy who tends to get fat and then get skinny again, and get fat and get skinny again, and that is being like sort of stuck. Some of the other dark character attributes that are associated with this construct is that oftentimes they become very power hungry, and the power hungry, depending on the polarity, is either directed outwards or is stuffed down and directed inward. As it relates to the polarities on the dark end of this spectrum, you've got someone who can be a tyrant, you know, I'm out there to control and make everybody do what I want them to do, or a weakling, the type of person that gives their power over. Even though they may walk around and exude power, they have a tendency to dim their power down and give it to others. So if you seem to resonate with the king, the warrior, the wizard, or the lover character construct, share it down below. One thing I would have you guys understand, which is super important, particularly as we use these terms, is that one is not better than the other. And in fact, what you'll discover in another video that I'll create for you here is that each one of these types come into creation, come into being, become formulated and formed in this lifetime based on the experiences that we've had, particularly as children, from the time of inception to usually around the time of 7 years old. According to Sigmund Freud, all of these defenses, these psychological defenses that lead to psychological predispositions, occur when we're most malleable, and that is when we're most young and dependent on our parents. So there are experiences that you may have had with your parents that led to being one or more of each one of these character structures or these character complexes. And in another video, I'll talk more about it. If you're really interested in the things that I'm talking about here, and I totally get it that the things I'm talking about are very different. I'm sharing monumental stuff here, meaning it's never been done before. No one's really spoken about these things before. If you're going to do research and try to validate what I'm saying, you're not going to find it, because I'm the creator of it. And in what I often like to say about In the New World is that creation is a remix. Creation in the New World is not so much about making new things. It's about taking the plethora of amazing things that have been brought forth in this age of information and bringing them together. And it is my intention, it is my hope, and is my gift to the world to show how the body is the mind by bringing together the work of many different brilliant experts in the realm of body psychology, bioenergetics, energy work, and the work of Carl Jung, Joseph Campbell, mythology, stories, archetypes, things of that nature. So all the realm of religion and spirituality and intellectuality has to be grounded in the body as it relates to body building, body shape, posture, and body psychology. And that is my intention, and that is my hope with this series. If you want to know more from my perspective as to how we go about learning more about ourselves and resolving any of the blocks that hold us back from being our strongest selves, because that's really what this is all about, then I invite you to join me for my Grounding Man event that's happening in June. All the information you need to know is down below, but what I'll share with you here is this, that we are going to be doing assessments, and we are going to be working specifically on you and where you find yourself stuck in your life, not by talking about it, but by finding out where those blocks are energetically and seeing how you show up in your fullness, in your light and dark attributes as it relates to your king, warrior, wizard, and lover. I enjoyed making this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Comment down below. Share it with your friends if you think they find it interesting. Give me a thumbs up. Done.